going on, everybody? It's your boy Crazy One with your girl TQ.
Hey there.
And we are back for another edition of Game of Thrones Talk. We're officially in the halfway marker of the season.
Yeah, I can actually speak after this episode, so that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Last week I was done for. I couldn't even talk last week. So this week is good.
We don't have a title for this episode because they don't normally release the titles until like well after.
Right.
I guess because I guess it'll be a bit of a spoiler if they release the titles. But everybody knew last week that it was the Battle of Winterfell, but
right.
the name of the episode was The Long Night. So
right.
Take it as you will. We have no episode. We have no title for the episode, but it is not as action-packed, but a lot, and we mean a lot of setup going on.
This is the thereafter. What happens next? That's what this is.
Yeah. And this is, well, like I said, it's just a lot of setup. And it's kind of like, how do you treat this episode other than it's a information gathering thing? We're kind of playing chess here. We're setting up the pieces of what is to come. Right. We're setting up the pieces of what is about to happen. And while we're playing this game of chess, a couple of moves have been made. A couple of major moves have been made. So let's just kick this thing off. First off, for anybody that's watching this, please share this with all your Game of Thrones friends. If you have people that watch Game of Thrones and you have people that love talking about Game of Thrones, the episode after.
Well, Wayne has already he
went in already, huh? So yes, the Great War already happened. She said Daenerys is calling this the last war.
Right.
So yeah. So this is a bit of a shocker. I wasn't expecting some of the things that happened to happen in this one, but some stuff did. So let's just take it from the top. So we're having we start off with the funeral, and you just see mounds and mounds and mounds of burn stations,
right,
for the people who have lost, who died in the Battle of Winterfell. And
okay, we're going back to.
Are you good?
Yes, I was having technical difficulties over here in my corner, and I was like, "Yo, what's going on?" But I got it now, so I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
Because you kind of like talking to yourself while we're doing this.
I sort of spaced out. I'm like, "Yo, it's not doing what I needed to do," but I'm good. I got it. Okay, all right. I'm all set now.
You sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, good.
I'm ready.
So, Battle of Winterfell has happened, and we pick right up from the beginning. They're having their funeral.
Right.
You see that. Sansa has given Theon the Winterfell hand emblem to bury him with, because he literally fulfilled his purpose, protecting Bran for as much as he could before monumentally doing the stupid thing and charging at the Night King.
Yeah, we watched the episode, the previous episode before we watched this week's, and we just rehearsed like, that was still a dumb move. I don't care. I don't care what you say. It was still a dumb move.
I don't care how you fix it. All right, it was a dumb move.
It was still a dumb move. So yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't have charged at him, but he did. He died. But he did die a hero's death, and they commended that during the funeral. You see Sansa giving him the Winterfell hands pin, and when they lit him on fire, so he died a hero's death, and they buried him in a hero's burial, along with Jorah, who had a very touching moment with Daenerys, and Arya. Almost everybody had somebody that was special to them that died.
Passed, right.
It wasn't none of the main characters,
right,
but it was some of the auxiliary characters that we still have grown to, we had time to build up and find out who they are, what they're about, and what they meant, what their purpose was. So in short, a lot of people's purpose has been filled, and therefore they serve no more purpose.
Right.
In the furthering story, because
and I think we said that when we looked two previous episodes, we were trying to figure out who was going to live and who was going to die after the battle.
Right.
And everyone who actually needed to be there, we knew were still going to be there.
Right.
And everybody who was like, you know what, the end battle with Cersei, we really don't need them. You knew they weren't going to make it.
Right.
So, and that's how we knew what was going on. So that pretty much helped us out.
Right.
Except for the fact that they didn't show it until the beginning of this one. You didn't know exactly everyone who, you still had a lot of questions leaving out of episode 3 going into episode 4. So it was like, okay, who really made it?
Right.
Especially with the episode, and we've said it, we've read it, that it was so dark that a lot of it, you really couldn't tell who made it. You couldn't tell the damages to the dragons.
Right.
A lot of it you couldn't tell until this episode.
And, looking at the making of episode, it was like a 40-minute long making of episode of that making of featurette that's on YouTube, on HBO's YouTube, that said that they did that by design.
For it to be so doggone dark?
Yes, they did it by design because they wanted you to experience literally what the people there experienced. So with the dead coming at night, dark of night, we have no street lights, we have nothing but fire lighting, whatever it is. So that's kind of the realism that they wanted to.
Everybody was doing like this through the whole.
Yeah, everybody was adjusting their brightness and contrast and all that other stuff, man.
Trying to figure out who was dead, who was still alive, what was going on.
Right. So the funeral happened, and it was a touching moment. Everybody was united, and then we have the celebratory feast, if that's what you want to call it.
Right.
And everyone was still united until the dialogue started. Once people started to open their mouths, you start to see cliques and divisions happen.
Who was with who?
Real quick.
Who was with who?
And it was, some of that stuff was very unsettling. First off, Ghost lived. Let's give it up for Ghost.
Yeah.
Because Ghost been around since day one, yo.
Yes,
everybody needs a ghost in their life.
Yep,
let's just put that out there, right?
So true. I want one so bad. I really want one so bad.
So Gendry is the first person on the dialogue list.
Right.
He's talking to the Hound, and he's looking for wondering where Arya is.
Right.
And he, it's the whole, like, dude, you can still smell the burning bodies outside, and you worried about getting some cutty.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Where Arya?
Like where Arya?
it ain't about that. This ain't the time for that.
Now,
get a drink. This ain't the time for that.
For all my save friends that's watching this, I'm sorry, but I'm about to go there. I don't know what Arya did to this young man. All right.
Well, he loved her. He loved her even before that happened.
She put the thing on him.
Oh goodness.
She put the thing on him. All right. He got up and made her cheese omelets. This dude just finished a battle with Night of the Living Dead, and he was like, "Where's Arya?" That's all he could think of. And when he gets up, he gets mad at the Hound. He walks up and starts to go look for Arya. Daenerys catches him and starts to play the Game of Thrones with him.
As soon as she did it, Andre and I was like, okay, what is she up to? You knew she was up to something, and you knew it by the way the cameras played the field with her and Sansa.
Right.
So you knew there was something. It wasn't as generic as...
Well, it was more than just her and Sansa.
Well,
it
was her and Sansa and
Boris and Tyrion also.
They all knew that she was up to something. That something, it wasn't as generic as it was sounding to the normal people. The people who were in power, like, yo, okay, what's she up to?
Right.
You don't just say, okay, here you go. You can be the lord of this person, although he is the rightful heir, and there's no one else left but him to take it.
Right.
But for him to be called lord of that area, was an honor. Actually, was an honor because he is a bastard. Right. So he should not have gotten. Technically, he shouldn't. He's
not a bastard.
Yeah, he is.
No, he's not. He was.
Oh no, he's not.
He was shipped away.
Right.
Because
right.
It was this. He had the same scenario as He has the same scenario as Jon Snow, except for what actually happened.
Right.
So he never knew that he was a Baratheon.
Right.
Until
he just never knew.
Right.
He just never knew.
Because when Melisandre got a hold of him, right. All right, that's when she found out,
who he was.
And that kind of like, yo, you're actually the heir to the throne right now.
So yeah, and everybody knew she was up to something.
Right.
So especially with the play on the camera angles that they used, and I love the fact that Game of Thrones uses that. Uses that through the whole. They've been using it through the whole thing. You know that when something's going on, you know when something's not right, you know when something's not genuine because of how they play on the camera angles.
Right.
And I love that.
But and then we have what she does is she makes him Lord of shoot.
Wayne put it in there.
Storm.
Wayne put it in
Lord
there.
of Storm. I forgot what it is.
Like Stormhold or Stormheld or something.
Yeah. But basically makes him Lord of the Baratheon house, which means that he can rebuild the house of Baratheon. And that's like a house that Stannis just really just messed up, messing around with Melisandre and her witchcraft. And
that's where they burnt the little girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if I would want to go back there.
But she messed around and had his demon child.
Yeah,
and that was a
whole lot of extra stuff.
Yeah. So, but he accepts it. He gets celebrated, and Tyrion turns into him and says, "Well, if you just made him the Lord, then that means that he'll be loyal to you,
right?
Because you're the queen, and she says you're not the only one who's clever,
right?
So." Right off the rip,
she was building her alliances because she knew
she was manipulating the dude.
She was building her alliances, and through manipulation, she was building her alliances.
No, when she was building her alliances at first, she was building them genuinely. Cersei needs to go. We need to get Cersei who's with me. She freed the Unsullied. All right, they were slaves. She freed them. All right, everybody who she came in the counter with, like Tyrion said to Sansa, they love her.
Right, but now what she's doing, now that she knows,
now she's afraid.
Yeah, now that she's doing it out of straight fear now.
Right.
Because now it's not come join me, we're going to free the world, we are the world type thing. Now it's like, no, I have a chance of not being head of the world, so I need to start doing shortcuts. I need to start cutting corners and guilting people into submission now. Because that's what it is. Because now that I've given you this land, you have to be faithful to me because I've given it to you. Well, so now it's a guilty type. It's
not a guilt. It's more of a bribery. That's more of a thing. Bribery and guilt's two different things. So guilt, you would have to done something, and she would have to hold something over you. But now it's, hey, listen.
I gave you this.
I gave you this, so now you belong to me. So that's kind of how that works. That's that Vin Diesel, Paul Walker thing. Yeah. She says, you know he owns you now, right? So that's kind of, Gendry, you just been suckered in to that thing. Then during that portion, and when you saw the scans of the room from the camera, you saw that. Dany and Jon, they're not looking at each other at all.
No.
She's avoiding eye
contact right now
at all costs.
Because it's all in her eyes.
Yeah.
It is really, and Jon is the same way. Jon's eyes tell it all. Both of their eyes, if they know that if they lock eyes, it's done. It's over with. It's going to be, we're either going to be together or we're going to be at odds.
Right.
We can't have both. And so to not like eyes until a couple scenes later, to have the conversation with that.
But it's not even we're going to be together. It's you're going to be under me
Right.
Or we got to figure something out here, because a large portion of this episode is with can they coexist together? He doesn't want the throne. And
but she said, are we finished with that? Because we're jumping to another scene, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
Because there was some key things that she said.
I'm at tension between Danny and John. That's where I'm at, because that's what was there. It was a lot of. But then
so it picks up after the feast, when they're together by themselves.
So we're gonna go back. We're gonna
go back.
That.
Yeah.
So we're at the drinking game now.
Oh,
all right.
That was funny.
That
was hilarious.
We're doing a Never Have I Ever
drinking
game, and if you've never played the game Never Have I Ever, it's one of those things where you say Never Have I Ever blah blah, and if you've never done it, if it's true,
you have to drink.
You have to drink it. If it's not true, the person who gave you the Never Have I Ever has to drink.
Right.
So now they're playing their Never Have I Evers with Tyrion, Jamie, Podrick, and Brienne.
Right.
And it's all good. Everybody's having fun and everybody's drinking until Tyrion says to Brienne, "You're a virgin."
Yeah.
And she just got super uncomfortable,
defensive, everything, all at once.
Super uncomfortable.
All at once.
Yes.
All at once.
And she gets up, she leaves, and my wildling boy comes in and he starts.
Oh my goodness.
Listen,
he is hilarious.
This woman went from I ain't never thought about no dude to almost, it wasn't really, but almost being in a love triangle between him, Jamie, and herself.
Right, because this wildling just really wanted her, and he hated Jamie for it because he knew Jamie wanted her.
And he started crying. He started crying to the hound, talking about my heart is broken.
And I'm sitting there like, is he really doing this right now?
Meanwhile, while there's women throwing themselves at them, being gracious for them saving Winterfell.
Right.
And he gets over that real quick.
Very quick.
He gets over that real quick.
Very quick.
But you see Jamie pick up after Brienne, and they are in her quarters or his quarters, whoever's quarters that they are.
It was hers because he kept complaining that it was so warm in there.
Right. And Brienne got some.
Yeah. With Jamie.
Who
would have thought?
No, we saw that coming a mile away.
We saw
that coming a mile away.
I'm talking, looking at season 1 and season 2. By the time you got to
when they were captured together, when he lost his hand to protect her. He started developing feelings when he saw. Listen,
dude, Brienne, you know how many people got feelings in this show?
Listen, it's a thing about women in this show. All right, when they can hold their own, the men go crazy over them.
I understand that because you got Brienne, you got Sansa, you got Cersei.
No, Sansa's not part of that.
Now she is.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is.
No, she's not. There's no guys
Cersei,
fawning over Sansa.
Well, yeah, you're right.
There's no guy.
Cersei.
Arya's getting fawned over.
Well, yeah.
Okay, Brienne got fawned over.
Yeah.
The wildling girl that was with
John. I remember her.
That's his real life wife. They went and got married in real life.
Yes.
When she was able to hold her own, he went crazy over her. And of course there's Daenerys because she got dragons, but whenever there is a woman that can hold their own in this universe, the men just fawn over them. They go crazy over them.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
So with that, you spend some time with Brienne of Tarth, you're going to be like, wow, what a woman. And just for, I don't know if anybody catches premieres and everything like that, but if you've ever seen Gwendolyn Christie.
She is gorgeous.
Ever seen her?
She got legs for days.
On a premiere, a red carpet, a gala or something like that. She cleans up very well.
Yes, she does. They don't do her justice, and they shouldn't because of the show, her character in the show. So we understand that
she's supposed to be, that brash, tough exterior, you know, like not desirable. And we're going to keep going with this because Gandry.
After that, we go to Gandry and Arya.
Gandry finds Arya, almost gets his head shot off with an arrow. And she's, you know, she's celebrating by practicing her archery. He tells her that he's been made a lord, and he gets down on one knee and says, "Marry me, be the lady of Storm, whatever the heck the name is." I need you to fact check that.
Stormheld. I don't know what it is.
But she looks him in the eye, she kisses him, she looks him in the eye, and it's like, "Listen, I'm not a lady. I was never a lady when they were trying to groom me to be a lady. I didn't want to be a lady. I always wanted to be a warrior." And then with her life experiences, she realized that she loved it being free and being about. And we see that a little bit later on in the episode. But Arya just straight up turns it down and says, "I'm not a lady." And she says, "I never was a lady." And she doesn't want to be.
Because she went from literally being a child to being an assassin. She never had that. She never lived that teenage life because
she went from being a child to being a boy to being
an assassin because
being blind. Listen.
Gracious. Yeah, she went through a lot.
She went through a lot because when her first tragedy was seeing her father's head being cut off.
Right.
And then...
And she saw the Red Wedding.
And exactly. That was the second major tragedy, seeing her mother and her brother and everybody else that was associated with House Stark getting obliterated during the Red Wedding.
So she never wanted that life. She never went. And then she heard about what happened to her sister.
Right.
And her sister lived that life. So she's like, "Yo, that I don't want."
Right.
We're not going to go there. We don't want that. So I get it. Because if you look at even nowadays, if you want to equate it to nowadays, that's what happened to a lot of our young women when they see people go through situations, even men, they go through situations. I don't want that. They make a decision at a young age.
Right.
I don't want that life.
No.
That's not what I want. This is my lane. I'm good at it. I'm staying in it.
Right. So then we switch gears, and this is where we were alluding to earlier with Dany going in. Wait, before that though, back at the dinner, they were all celebrating Jon for riding Rhaegal.
Yes, and Dany didn't like that.
Dany didn't like that at all.
She didn't like that. She was
saving face. She was smiling and nodding.
She was like, "No, bruh, this ain't. No, we're not doing this.
We can't do this." And there was like, "Oh, he was a madman. He was a king. Yeah. He was, you know." And it's a little bit unsettling when you come for a purpose and someone who's not even trying. Now, I'm seeing some memes online saying that they're doing this whole, well, of course Jon deserves the throne because he's a man. Go figure. And they're saying that in the most sarcastic way because it's like a woman that's worked all of her life to get to the throne, and he deserves it because, well, he's a man.
Well, once we get down to
I'm talking about the memes online.
I know, but once we get down in the episode with Tyrion and Lord Varys, they have that conversation.
Right.
Of how the importance of who is who.
Boris Varys.
Varys. And I had to look at it so I can say it right. They had that conversation on why it's important and if it's important. Right. So the memes make sense. Well, because the custom during anything is the first male child, or with is
heir to the throne.
Is heir to whatever it is.
And if it's not the first male child, it's the next male child that's in line for the throne, and it's always supposed to be passed down to a male. So when, like, even with Cersei,
unless there is none.
Like
Unless
even when
there is
Cersei,
none.
her boys were heir to the thrones.
Right.
And then they got off, suicide and whatever, but that's the thing. So she's not looking at it like that.
No.
She's looking at it as
you're gonna take my throne.
But it's not that you're gonna take my throne, but people want you on the throne more than they want me on the throne.
Right, and I was going to that conversation that they had because he said he didn't want it, and she said it doesn't matter what you want because as long as the people want you there,
they're going to rebel against you.
He didn't want to be
the King of the North.
King of the North. He didn't want that, and they made him. This is who we want. We're not going. We don't want anyone else. This is who we want. This is what you're going to be. The people made him.
Right, and it's a thing because he earned it. And I've always said this. I've always said this about the Bible, but the people who have never wanted their position were always the best at it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. The people who never wanted to be in their positions. You look at the Stark kids. They're the best at what they do because they never wanted. Well, maybe Arya wanted it a little bit more than she should have, but Jon didn't want any leadership. Sansa just wanted to be someone's queen, and she wanted to be revered as someone's queen.
And Lord Varys said that as well when he has the conversation with Tyrion. The ones who don't want the job, they're the ones who are more capable. They're the ones who are better equipped to take on the job.
Right.
Because there's certain things that you, as a leader, that you have to have. There's certain qualities that you have to have, and being eager to be in that position is not one of them.
Right.
Being eager to be in that position is definitely not a sign of leadership.
Because the minute that your leadership is in question,
right,
then all of a sudden you're starting to feel threatened, and when you start to feel threatened, it causes certain feelings to kind of come about, and
we're seeing that with Dany and Jon.
Because almost at almost every turn, you're starting to see anybody who mentions anything about her not being on the throne or somebody else being on the throne. You see her position is threatened immediately. Her
whole facial expression, and again, her and Jon's feelings are all in their eyes.
Right.
You can see everything. You can see their soul from looking in their eyes.
And the thing about Jon is, it's not the fact that he wants the throne. It's the fact that he doesn't want to hold the truth in.
Right.
He wants to get this thing off of his chest and saying, listen, I am Aegon Targaryen, and this is my aunt.
Right. And at this point during this conversation, Dany comes to a conclusion. The only way that this is going to work is if you don't say anything to anyone.
Right. So you have
to. And that is hard because Jon is like, yo, I got to tell my siblings. If I don't tell nobody else, I got to tell them.
Jon is honest to a fault.
Donald in the chat said Dany is turning into her brother. We all remember how that turned out.
Yes. He got his golden crown.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yep.
But yeah, and she made him vow that he would not say anything to anyone, because that is the only way. If they ended up together,
right,
they can rule together. She'd be queen.
Yeah,
they'll rule together, but no one would know his actual claim to the throne, because if they ever found out his claim to the throne,
right,
even though they're together, the roles will switch.
But there's still a whole other dynamic about that we're gonna talk about just a little bit later. But let's go over to they have the family meeting at the tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because, so right after Daenerys says, "You don't tell anybody," they have the war meeting.
Right. They had the strategy meeting and how they were going to strategize getting to King's Landing, and how they were going to take over King's Landing, and how they were going to, that whole strategy thing. And then at the end of that, it's funny because Arya says absolutely nothing. As soon as they got done, Arya was like, yo, bruh, we need to talk.
Right. But see, there's a thing, because what Varys and Tyrion's job is to make sure that that Dany doesn't become what she despised, everything that she's fighting against.
Right.
Now, this isn't the first time that this has happened, because if you remember back in Slaver's Bay, all right, when she freed the Unsullied, all right, the first thing she did was she had all the slavers crucified.
Right.
And
she had to be stopped because she realized I'm turning into them.
Right.
And that's not what I want to become.
But she also created little factions inside of the place,
right,
that were out for her life because of it. And it's like, okay, we understand that some people don't like change, but once you start treating people the way that they treated other people, that makes you no better than them.
Right.
And they're trying to let her know that, listen, the reason why your father was killed by Jaime Lannister was because he wanted to start burning women and children. And,
he was a tyrant.
And he just wanted to slaughter a whole lot of people. And before that order got out, Jaime got to him.
Right.
So with that, they're like, listen, you're headed towards that path. We don't want you. We want to remove Cersei from the throne. We don't want to destroy King's Landing
because of the people that's there. There are billions of people there, and we don't want them dead because we want her. We just want her. Lead the people. We want her.
Right. They don't like her.
Right.
And she doesn't like them. But here's what's going to happen. You bring war to that city, people are going to like you less because we didn't like her. But at least we were alive. At least we were fed. Right. At least we were able to make a living. You know, and this is a perfect allegory for what's going on in our world right now.
Yes, it is.
You know what I'm saying? Look, we may not like who's sitting on the throne right now, but at least right now,
everything's still going.
Everything's still going.
Everything's still going.
There's no wars happening here.
Right.
And, you know, so the thing is, if war is brought to King's Landing, Cersei's going to be hated. Daenerys is going to be hated.
Right.
So now we're talking about an unruly people because guess what? No matter how strong your armies are, those people will always outnumber you.
Yep.
And they're trying to let her know that. You can't just go and just burn down the place because you need those people. Who are you going to rule?
Right. And as soon as that's over, the siblings say, okay, we need a family meeting. Let's go huddle at the tree.
Because of what Jon did.
Yes, because
Jon turned...
Sansa said something contradicting...
No, she basically said that the troops needed to rest, and they need some are still wounded, and
that was true. It was because this is a strategy meeting. That was smart.
Right.
It was smart leadership saying, "Listen, we just came out of a war.
Right.
We need to make sure that they're healthy, that they're not necessarily 100%, but better than what they are."
Right. And she was like, "Well, you know, I'm sorry about your people." She was like, "No, they're your people too.
Right.
Some of your Unsullied are wounded, and they need time to rest and time to heal before they go marching all the way across the other side of marching south to go and get into a fight." And that they're
not equipped.
They're not ready for it.
They're not ready for it.
And we found out later that they really weren't ready for it.
And Jon stepped in and was like, "No,
this is our queen.
This is our queen. Whatever you want, you'll have it."
Right. And you saw the look of like, Sansa and Arya like, "The heck you just say?"
What?
What? What you talking about, Willis? So now we're at the point where they're at the tree. They have a family meeting, and Jon is holding this thing out. It's burning him inside, and basically he's trying to convince Sansa and Arya, just like, listen, just follow suit and blah, 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 blah. They're like, nah, bro. And he tells them.
Right.
Or he has Bran tell him.
He didn't tell him.
He didn't tell him. He told Bran, like, oh.
So if Danny asked, nope, I ain't tell him.
Nope.
I ain't said nothing.
Bran told him, but Bran said, it's your choice.
Right.
He gave him a choice. You know the truth. It's up to you if you want them to know. And of course, Jon is honest to a fault. So
yes.
But we found out that there's more people that know than what we originally thought. So we only thought that it was Sam, Jon, Bran, and now Daenerys. But Varys said there was about eight people
that know.
He said so it's no longer a secret.
It's not a secret. It's information. Right. And the more people that know, the quicker it is to spread
around. And when that happening, now you're talking some heavy stakes there, because if people know, first off, okay, they can't be all lovey-dovey and all that stuff for the more people that know, because then they're going to be worse than Jaime and Cersei.
Right.
Because now we're talking about not only are you a Targaryen, but you're her brother's kid.
Well, that goes into the conversation that Lord Varys and Tyrion had.
Right.
Because now there's a battle of... It's not necessarily a battle. It's more of a conscious thing. Should we let her continue on this road of going for the king, for the Iron Throne?
Well, it's not a should we let her continue. It is because what Sansa posed to Tyrion on their talk on the bridge was, what if there was someone better?
Right.
So now there is going to be a campaign for Jon versus Daenerys.
Even though Jon doesn't want it.
Even though Jon doesn't want it.
Right.
But again, you saw the people, the Wildling dude, before he said, I'm taking my people back to Castle Black, he said, you the guy.
Right.
You're the guy. These people will follow you to the end of the earth. You are the guy.
Right.
And with that, that's all talk that Jon doesn't want to hear, but he knows in his heart.
He knows.
He knows in his heart that Daenerys is going down that path of her father.
Yeah.
And her brother. Well, I won't even say her brother, because she got way further than what her brother could ever dig. He was just like, he was demanding without premise.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when he wanted his golden crown, Dothraki just like, okay, yeah, just melted gold on your head. There's your crown.
There you go.
So, yeah. So now we have that. The secret's out. Tyrion and Sansa are having this moment on the bridge. Mm-hmm. And now, like, there are some things where Daenerys is seriously in doubt now.
Right.
She is seriously in doubt. Not just by Sansa or Arya, but by Tyrion and her advisors.
Her advisors
and
her advisors are doubting her. Her hands are doubting her.
And Jorah's no longer there to stick up for her. So the people who are supposed to have her best interests at heart are now having second thoughts about even going through.
But I think that is her best interest at heart, is not being queen.
Right, but that's not what she wants.
That's not how she's going to see it.
Right.
And I understand that. But like Lord Varys said, I'm going to stick up for the people.
Right.
And he said at the when they had the strategy meeting, he said, I told you that if you were ever wrong, I would look you in your eyes and tell you that this is a mistake. Right. And he clearly said, this is a mistake. To go after the way she wanted to go after King's Landing was definitely a mistake. And
they shouldn't have went. And before everything is said and done, before they take off, we found out that Jilly is alive.
Yes. Because I thought Jilly was gone.
Jilly is alive, and Jilly is with child.
Yes.
Which means Sam Tarly, lover of women, killer of White Walkers.
Oh my goodness, has done it again. This guy. No, the funny part is when he tried to explain, he was like, yo, there was
long nights and long winters and nothing to do. It's like, look, he knows.
He knows how
it's done.
Kind of like that.
So, so Sam, who is one of the people who confirmed Jon's lineage, he's left behind in Winterfell, and that was a little moment, but a lot of people was trying to figure out, did Jilly die or not?
Right.
In the crypt, she did not die, and we're moving on. So we're on the seas, and they're going back to Daenerys's. They're going back to Daenerys's place.
Right.
And man, what we thought happened last week actually happened this week,
and they were not expecting it. They were blindsided.
We were seeing this awesome shot of the unsullied ships, and they're sailing, and Grey Worm and Missandei, they're sitting there like they're on the love boat.
It was really nice. And then all of a sudden,
see, and this happens with you boys in the hood, Baby Boy, Menace to Society. Whenever somebody was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna get out the hood, I'm gonna, make something of myself, and I'm gonna be. They always die. I'm just saying.
They didn't die. well, the dragon did.
Yo, they took out Rhaegal with the quickness. All right, we never saw it coming. They're just having a little How to Train the Dragon moment, and then all of a sudden, this boom, one hits the torso, another one clips the wing. 3 more get into him, and then one just takes the head right off.
Right through the jaw.
And he's down in the water, and he is gone, or at least so that we think.
And Dany is
she's pissed. She's pissed.
She is heated.
She's pissed because now we're talking, we had 3 dragons started off.
Right.
Now we only have 1. And on top of that, Drogon is still
still recuperating.
He's still recuperating. He had a whole bunch of White Walkers stabbing the crap out of him.
And that's exactly what Sansa was saying.
Right.
You're going in with a handicapped army.
Even Jon said it when he was like, you're not riding the dragon south. He was like, well, Rhaegal needs to heal. He doesn't need me weighing him down. He never got a chance to heal. Yeah. But then we saw that Euron Greyjoy and his fleet, they ambushed them. They had the same bow and arrow, or the same crossbow that
was in the crypt.
Right. That was in the crypt of King's Landing. And now they made one for every ship. For every post on the castle wall.
Yep.
So now they got these things in pure supply to kill the dragons.
Yep.
And they tore apart the entire fleet with this thing.
And captured
Missandei. And we all know that was just going to be like...
Yeah.
I thought at least Grey Worm was gonna lead a small little task force to go and get her.
I don't trust Cersei with anybody that's not in her own camp.
Well, no, she uses people as bargaining chips. I was just, man, like... I wasn't ready. I was not prepared.
I knew that was going to happen. And I said it. When I saw her standing there, I'm like, yeah, she's gone.
Oh, man.
She's gone.
Yeah. So, that's... Okay. So, she's captured. They're back at Dragonstone. And, Varys and Tyrion are having this really deep conversation, which we've been talking about in and out throughout.
Because that's really the main focus of this episode is should Dany be queen?
And it's starting to turn out with everything that is going on right now. It's shaping up that the anger is getting the better of Dany.
Part of her, yeah.
The power, the thirst for power is starting to swell in her. She's slowly turning towards the dark side, but she's still on the side of light, so to speak. But
the anger is especially after they killed her other dragon.
It's where your intentions where your actions are going to supersede what your intentions, and your actions are going to be misconstrued by what your actions really are. So it's going to be it's right now she's dealing with a whole lot, and during this time Varys and Tyrion are talking, and they're
because saying, they have to advise her of what to do, and it's hard to advise someone who you don't think is capable to do the job. Right.
But it's not that she's not capable. It's just that they see what she's becoming, and it's not. Yeah. It's not. They're thinking that she's going to end up doing the wrong thing. It's not about who's capable or not. Because she's capable of leading. She's done all this thus far.
All right.
She's amassed a grand army. She's amassed, walked in the fire with the 3 stones and walked out with 3 dragons.
Right.
You know, she took down the Dothraki witches by herself. She liberated Slaver's Bay. Every place that she's gone, she's conquered. She's more than capable of leading, but she's becoming a tyrant.
But her anger is taking over. So when I say being capable, it's being just, being a just leader. A lot of people are capable, but being a just leader, and that's what they want on the throne right now.
Right.
And so is she able to do that? Is she able to because right now her road to getting on the throne is, I'm going to wipe out everyone and anyone who took it from my family.
Right.
And it's getting worse.
Well, no, because Baratheon.
Well, he didn't know. He had no clue.
Right.
Although I was expecting her to say, "We killing you next." I really was expecting that. I was expecting that. I was expecting that, and I was a little nervous about them congregating together because I instantly thought of the Red Wedding, but that's a whole different story.
Nah, I wasn't.
I didn't know what to expect. But yeah, so to me, it seems like that was her. That's right now. Anybody who has stood in the way or have done anything wrong to her family in order for them not to be on that throne,
right,
you have to be dealt with.
So now there's the standoff. They're going to get Missandei back. Mm-hmm. And you see Cersei's hand, Daenerys' hand. They come out. They have
I don't like that old man.
Well, he's twisted, all right, because
he's
the one that created the mountain. He's the one that created the mountain.
I don't like him. I never liked him.
But they have this thing that I kind of learned that this is how war used to be before, we start dropping bombs on people. But
they would have the hand come and say, okay, these are the terms. And they would go back to their leaders and talk about it, and they would come back and negotiate and go back and as many times as they needed to. But Tyrion was like, "Yo, I ain't got time."
Because he said, "I'm just a mouthpiece."
Well, then if you're just a mouthpiece, I don't need to talk to you. I can talk to my sister myself.
Tyrion is not a mouthpiece. Tyrion is one of the advisors. He's one of the decision makers. He's one of the people who can sway Daenerys in one way or the other, which was so noted by Varys, because he said that Jon could, he can.
If they were to rule together, he could sort of calm
the impulses.
Right, calm her impulses.
Sort of like what you've done. And yes, Tyrion has calmed some of her impulses, without the whole romance being a part of it, as twisted as that may be. But he just walks right past them and starts to talk to Cersei, and
just when you think he's
brings
putting
the
her
baby into the thing. And let's rewind a little bit. Euron Greyjoy has to be
idiot,
the dumbest Greyjoy of all Greyjoys to ever Greyjoy at the Greyjoy place. Okay, he still has got to be the dumbest.
And we've always said that.
You had one night with Cersei.
Yeah.
One night with Cersei. And you really believe that that's your baby?
Yeah. I don't.
You really believe, bro, you really believe that's your baby.
And then what have made him question it was going back to what we're talking about now. When Tyrion mentioned it, he knows Tyrion hasn't been there. So how would Tyrion know about this baby that's supposed to be mine if Tyrion has never been there?
Yo. Well, first off, she was holding the baby the entire time when she was up there. She had her hand on her on her stomach. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, that was kind of evident. But all I'm saying is Cersei. And when I said that, I was like, "Chick, you stupid," and I wasn't talking about Cersei. I was talking about Euron.
Yeah, he never had. He moves on his own, on his impulses.
This dude he's about his whatever. So she did this on purpose because if Jaime's gone and I'm pregnant. Right. All right, so I have to have an alibi for being pregnant.
Yep.
So, boom. And so she tells him the lion will rule the land and the kraken will rule the seas and our child will rule them all. And he's like, oh yeah, I got a baby.
He will do anything right now. He will do anything.
Until that baby comes out with blonde hair.
Right. Then what?
Anyway, so now we get to the meat of this thing. You see Drogon in the back.
Right.
She has 2 squadrons of Unsullied, nothing more. Standoff between Cersei and Daenerys. Neither one of them two say a word to each other. And Cersei barely says anything to Tyrion.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She looks. She had a little tear in her eye. She walks up to Missandei and was like, hey, if there's any last words that you got, now's the time. Yeah. And we
I knew that was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen.
Yo, Missandei got Ned Stark.
Yes.
She got Ned Stark. And
we running out of characters though.
Huh?
we running out of characters.
No, we not, because the last shot of the show, Jaime and Brienne Part 2.
Oh, right.
And Brienne,
to me, this had to be one of the best scenes, and the reason why is because we saw a part of Brienne that we hadn't seen. We seen her vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like really, really, really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And Jaime, you can see the pain in his eyes. Like, this chick got this drug. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I keep going back to her.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's not even that, because he's toiling with himself. He heard that one of the dragons died.
Right.
He heard that one of the dragons died. He heard that the fleet got ambushed. Mm-hmm. And he's now saying to himself, wait a minute. She's down another dragon. The fleet got ambushed. We're not going to win.
Yeah.
And this whole entire time, he's saying within himself, if we're not going to win, I can easily go back to King's Landing, beg for forgiveness,
right,
and fight at Cersei's side, and I will be on the side of life. Albeit,
I don't know though. I don't think he wants to go back to fight for Cersei.
You heard what he said. You heard what he said. He said, I pushed a kid out of a tower and paralyzed him.
Yeah. I think what's going to happen is...
I strangled my cousin with my bare hands for Cersei. I would have murdered all the kids.
And I think what's going to happen is he's going to get there and he's going to find out that she said that it was his Greyjoy's baby. And he's going to flip. He's going to flip.
I don't know if it's going to be that complicated.
I think so. I think that's what's going to...
I don't think it's going to be that simple. I think it's going to be a whole lot more complicated than that. I'm now starting to think that Jaime may kill Tyrion.
Really?
I'm starting to think that. Because if Jaime is conflicted between his siblings / his girl, he's going to fight on Cersei's side. I
don't know. We might have to take a little bet on that one. Because
Tyrion is his soft spot.
Yeah.
But Cersei got him by the balls.
I agree. That I agree with.
So, in the end...
But I honestly think that he's going to go and find out that Cersei said that Greyjoy was the baby daddy.
I don't think it's going to be that simple. I really don't think it's going to be that simple, because...
I think we got 2 more episodes to find.
Yeah, there's 2 more episodes left, and the war is coming. They're set for war now.
Yeah.
Because once they killed Missandei, and Missandei's last words was Tricaris.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But it's not. Jaime is not that simple as to where it's like, oh, wait a minute. It may be on Euron's side when it's like, yeah, guess what? That's really his baby and not yours. He's simple enough to probably have a fight with Jaime. But I think Cersei will do her little Emperor Palpatine thing, and pull Jamie back to her side.
I'm not saying that it's gonna be.
But I don't think he's gonna flip out because she told Euron that that's his baby, because that's what Cersei does. He's been with Cersei his whole life,
to know that
and
that's
all that stuff that he read, the whole list, and he said, I would have murdered every woman and child, all right, for Cersei. So Brienne broke down crying because she didn't want, she's like, I finally got somebody and I can keep them, and I thought that you were going to fight on our side or fight by my side the same way you did with the dead army.
Right.
And now you're going back to that. And
I think again,
he
to me,
convinced himself that he's that person again.
That, to me, that had to be one of the best scenes of tonight's show. Because, again, it was a part of Brienne that we've never seen her that vulnerable.
Right.
We've seen her a little soft. But to see her without her armor, with just a robe, I mean, she was
a lady.
She had turned into a lady, and you saw her vulnerable. That the place that she tried so hard not to be all 8 seasons.
Right.
She finally got there, and now that she's gotten there, this happens.
Right. And, you know, we kind of leave the episode after that, and she's crying, and Jamie rides off.
Yeah.
And we don't know how that's gonna, we don't know how that storyline is gonna play out. It's one of the more intricate storylines, but the big takeaway of this is that it's serious doubt now, because knowledge of Jon Snow's true lineage is out there now. It's like 8 people and growing at this point, that Daenerys is not the only choice to be on that throne.
Right.
And quite frankly, she may not be the best choice for that throne. If she doesn't learn how to get her emotions in check, if she doesn't learn how to deal with what she's dealing with now, we might have a civil war within that war, and we might have the North go against the South, and I'm talking about Grey Worm and his crew, because again, Grey Worm's out for blood now.
Yeah.
Grey Worm is out for blood. He saw his woman get beheaded. He's out for blood. And it might not be the prettiest thing in King's Landing, but if war comes to King's Landing, then Daenerys is gonna be Listen, 2 more episodes left. We're done. Check us out on Theater Hoppers, Facebook.com/Theater Hoppers. Check us out on Twitter @Theater Hoppers. And if you, what do you think about the episode, the points that we brought out? If you're watching, hit us up in the comments below and let us know what you think. Make sure you give this a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as the Facebook page. Because we're doing this live on the Facebook page, but we're also posting this on YouTube. So make sure you give us some likes, subscribe it, smash the subscribe, smash the like button. Make sure you click the little thing to get the notifications when we put new videos up. We will come to you a little bit early with Theater Hoppers this week, because we did not do one last week because it was my birthday and we were out celebrating. And we have some big news going on with the world of the movie box office, because Avengers is on its way to making history, being the fastest to $2 billion, and we're going to talk about that. So come back tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you next week for another episode of Thrones Talk. Remember, we do this right after the episode airs on the East Coast. We go live with Thrones Talk. So just come over to the Theater Hoppers page, join us, get into the conversation, let us know what you thought about the episode. So till next time, remember, we have the theaters, so you don't have to. See you guys next week. But for the real show, see you guys tomorrow night. Peace.